Hey guys, what's up? It's Dean. Welcome to Manflow Yoga. The workout you are about to see is from the Bulletproof Your Knee series, and this workout focuses on improving your hip flexibility and mobility for preventing knee injury. So if you've had knee injuries in the past, if you've had ACL, MCL issues, one big factor in preventing knee injuries is hip mobility. So not just being able to engage the hips, but also having the mobility in your hips to be able to adjust for unexpected terrain or quick movements, or if you're an athlete moving around on the field, dodging, changing direction. So having hip mobility greatly helps to prevent injury in the knees, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in today's 40-minute workout. You're going to need a block and a wall for today, or if you don't have a wall, you can also use a couch or something, basically just something that you can line your leg up against. All right, guys, enjoy the workout. We're going to be focusing on your flexibility today, but before we start that, I want to make your muscles nice and warm. So we're going to work on burning out your legs, or just getting them nice and warm with some squats and lunges. So I'm going to have you start at the back of the mat, sit down into a squat, feet facing straight forward, maybe turning them out a little bit if you're not quite there yet. Keep your chest upright, press down through your heels, and squeeze your glutes. Try to push your butt out behind you so you get the weight in your hips, and then pretend like you're squeezing something between your inner thighs. So really squeezing the inner thighs toward one another, tightening your glutes, opening the knees up, and then lift your arms up. Oh yeah. And then walk forward, nice and slow. Make sure that you're shifting the weight into both hips. So as I step forward with the left, weight goes into the left hip. I step forward with the right, weight goes into my right hip. So again, just getting your legs nice and warm. Walking all the way to the front, keeping your chest upright. Sit down when you get to the top, lift up, and then slowly walk back. Nice and slow. Again, keeping the weight in your hips, not in your knees. You can turn the toes slightly out, that's fine. Try to keep them facing straight forward for the most part though, or at least somewhat forward. Legs should be getting warm at this point, especially if you're staying low in your squat. All the way to the back. At times like this, I wish my mat weren't as long. All right, hold it there at the back for 3 breaths. 1. Bring your arms up higher. Lean back a little bit. 2. The longest breath ever. 1 more. Weight in the hips. And stand up. All right. Legs feeling warm. Let's do a lunge. Keep this up. Right leg forward. Step your left leg back. I apologize if you had leg day yesterday. Knee over the ankle on your front foot. Push your right hip toward the ground. Squeeze your right glute. Getting a stretch to the front of your left hip. Just a little stretch for now. Bring your arms up. And we're going to sink the left knee almost all the way down to the ground. Not quite. And then bring it back up. So slowly, allowing your right hip to come forward, knee over the ankle, and then slowly back up. 5 of those. Inhaling down, exhaling back up. 3 more. Just warming up the hips. That's our goal here. Get the muscles in your hips nice and active. Step up. That was 5. Switch sides. Right leg back. Push your left hip toward the ground now. Get your left glute active, feeling a stretch to the front of your right hip. Arms up. Try to keep your hips under your torso as you're moving through this. Knee is going to come forward. As you sink, weight stays in the hip. Don't let it go into the knee. Inhale down. Exhale back up. And just barely touch your knee to the ground. We're not resting the knee on the ground, just touching and coming back up. 3 more. Slow and controlled. Last 2. 1 more. All the way up and stand up. All right, so I can say that your legs are pretty warm now. Mine are feeling pretty warm. Hopefully yours are too. Now it's time to work into our flexibility. We're going to start off with a low lunge. So exactly what you were just in, except take the knee all the way down. Make sure you're keeping the weight in your right hip here. So don't allow all the weight to go over to your left side. We're going to inhale up. Press your hips forward, reach back. And then come back to neutral. And again, come back, press the hips forward. So kind of working deeper into your left hip flexor. 5 of these. Inhaling back to the middle. Exhaling to go deeper. Pushing hips forward, reaching back at the same time. So the longer we can make the area from the thigh to the ribs, the deeper this stretch is going to be. One more. And back. Sinking the hips down. We're going to be here for 3 breaths. Lift your ribs up, tighten your abs, squeeze the right hip. Make sure your neck is nice and long. You shouldn't have the head falling back, but supporting with the muscles in your upper back and your neck. One more breath. And release. Go ahead and switch sides. Left leg comes up. Right leg is back. Sink your hips forward. And again, make sure the weight is in your left leg. Easy way to check. Tuck your back toes. Lift your right knee. And now how you feel that weight shift to the left leg, keep it like that the whole time, even when the knee goes down. All right, arms come up. As you exhale, lean back. Press the hips forward. Might be deeper or might be more intense in one side. That's very normal. You're going to have one tight leg, one less tight leg, one dominant leg, a non-dominant leg. So just keeping this up. Again, exhaling to press the hip forward and lean back. Inhaling to come back to neutral. Exhaling back, going a little bit deeper every time, getting a nice deep stretch to the hip flexor. The importance of your hip flexor to the knee here. The hip flexor is one of the main muscles of the hips, and your hip mobility is a direct correlation to your knee health. The more hip mobility you have, the less at risk, the lower risk of injury for the knee. Since the knee does not move, the hips need to be able to move. When the hips can't move, the knee tries to move and make up for that mobility, and that's how knee injuries happen very often. All right, one more of these, and we're going to hold it for 3 breaths. So the hips press forward, core is engaged to protect your back. Think of lifting your ribs up away from your hips. Press down through your left hip. Reach your arms up and back. 2 more breaths. Again, keeping the neck nice and long here, not allowing the head to collapse, and still getting a nice stretch to this right hip. Try squeezing your right leg in toward the middle. That'll help you get a deeper stretch. And even see if you can activate this muscle. So see if you can squeeze that muscle in the front of the hip, and that'll help you go even deeper. All right, longest 3 breaths in the world is done. We're gonna go ahead and stand up and take it into a wide-legged position. We're gonna work on the inner thighs and the hamstrings. So, take it into a wide stance, toes face slightly in, really tighten the thighs, squeeze your hips toward one another, so keep your legs really tight and engaged. Hands to your hips, breathe in. Hinge at the hips, push your chest forward, keep length through your spine, just like you see me doing now. Again, I'm not falling forward, but I'm keeping my chest lifted upright. So I'm not allowing my chest to cave in. I'm pulling forward with my chest like so, and that's going to help me target my hamstrings and my adductors, these muscles on the backs of your thighs and the insides of your thighs as I'm doing this. Bring your hands out in front of you to help yourself pull forward. Instead of folding down like this, we want to pull forward, and that's going to help you target the muscles in your legs instead of your back, which is our goal right now. Keep your thighs tight, so make sure muscle is squeezing to bone, and you want to be able to push into the outer edges of your feet. So we're also working on our ankle mobility a little bit here. Keep squeezing the legs toward one another. You should feel those muscles engaging and stretching at the same time. If you want, maybe crawl your feet out a little bit wider to work deeper into this. As long as your back is flat, then you can do that. If you feel like, though, your back is rounded like this, bend your knees a little bit, or you can even use a block to Kind of bring your chest a little further away from the ground, and that will help you keep your back flat. All right, one more breath here. And then bring your hands to your hips with control. Come all the way back up. Turn your right foot to face straight out to the side, and we're going to do a few Warrior 2 dynamic exercises, or dynamic Warrior 2 lunge. So we're going to sink into the knee with the exhale, keeping your hips under your torso. So notice that my hips aren't behind me like this, and I'm not leaning my shoulders forward, but I'm keeping my chest right above. And then inhale, come back up, straighten the leg. Exhale, sink back into the knee tracking over your middle toe. So make sure you can see your big toe around the knee, and then come back up again. Exhale, sink into it. Go ahead and bring your arms up, straight out to the sides, extended in opposite directions. Inhale back up. Exhale and sink. Going deeper into it. And one more. Exhale and sink. All right, we're going to hold here. So my back foot, I want my back leg really tight and engaged. I'm working and pushing into the outer edge of my back foot. The weight is in my hips, so I'm going to squeeze my legs toward one another, squeeze my glutes to press my hips slightly forward to keep my hips under my torso, and then really dig down through my right heel so my right glute is engaged. As my right glute engages, that's going to help open up my groin. Bring the arms, again, keep them straight out. See if you can sink a little bit deeper with the exhale. So using your breath to help you get deeper. One more breath here. Thanks for joining me for this workout today. Make sure you subscribe. We put out lots of videos like this on a very regular basis. And to get full access to all of my workouts, my programs, tutorials, and more, head to manfulyoga.com, sign up for a 7-day trial. It's just $1. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.